Welcome back to the Latarjet Diaries, guys. Today we have another podcast with one of the subscribers. We have somebody from Israel. He's a sports psychologist. Thank you, Ron, for being here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I already gave like a little introduction, but let's start like with the first question. How long are you post Latarjet surgery? Because you have done a surgery, obviously. How long are you post surgery right now?
Yes, so today will be the 3 weeks mark. Exactly.
3 weeks mark. So the stitches are gone.
Yes, they are. I did send you a picture, so you're welcome to upload it whenever it's on. But yeah, so it looks better, it feels better, but the first 3 weeks are intense, right? You know that.
Yes, I want to go deeper into that. I saw the pictures and clips that you have sent me. I will put it on the screen here.
Mhm.
But what is interesting to me is that the scar seems to be very small compared to
Yes.
mine, because mine is like going to my armpit. It seems that yours is pretty smaller than mine. Have they said anything about that, or is just like that's just the way they operate, or did they mention something about?
Yes, so this is a great question. When I first met my surgeon, so he told me that I showed him pictures of all the people in this community and the scars that they had, and I
Mhm.
asked, "Is it going to be that long?" And he said, like, "No, in here we're doing it very minimalistic." And I checked it, and to be specific, it's 5.5 centimeters, so
Mm.
it is very small. And I guess it depends of the technique you use, as a professional.
Yeah. So you did a surgery in Israel, I assume?
Yes. Yes.
Is the guy the surgeon specialized in shoulders, or was he just like a regular orthopedic? Or can you like say something about that?
Yes. So he's specifying in the shoulder. He's doing it for a lot of many years, and he is a professional. I checked. I was very into it, and I wanted to make sure that the guy that is taking care of me is the best that I can find in here. So I think he's very good.
Okay. You look happy, by the way, so that is a good thing, I assume.
I am. I am. I will say though that I noticed my mental change happened mainly after the 2 weeks mark. So the first 2 weeks were very intense. Like your happiness, your energy level are very low. It's very intense. It's not even a day by day. It's like an hour by hour. You feel it
Mm-hmm.
all day long. So after you pass the first 2 weeks, it's not get way easier, but you get more comfortable with that.
Yeah, exactly. The interesting thing is that as I said, of podcasts, I reread our messages on Instagram, and what sparked my interest is that you are a sports psychologist. So if I'm correct me if I'm wrong. For me, that means that you are supporting athletes in a psychological way. Is that correct? Or can you explain what you exactly do?
Yes, so I help athletes in many fields,
Mm-hmm.
also groups, also coaches, to be focusing on the performance part, like to get the best out of you. There are the terms of the overperform and underperform, and we want to focus on to get the max out of you. So many years ago, the world realized how big of effect the mental part has of performance. So you can work out hard, you can have a best plan to get to whatever you want, but unless here what's happening here is all set and ready to go, then it's going to be hard to execute.
I fully agree. And this is the reason why I think this podcast is going to be super interesting, because you are facing some mental challenges at this moment. And as you have said in our messages in Instagram, like the topics that you were speaking about more or less were about fear, uncertainty, identity, which I think is super interesting, trust in the body, returning to sports, and all of that. So I want to start off with asking you, can you take me into your head? Like, how were you dealing? Of course, you are 3 weeks, only 3 weeks, quote unquote, post surgery, but you were speaking about the mental challenges. Can you take me into your journey? Like, what were the struggles, or what are the struggles, and how are you dealing with it?
Yes, so I think the first one will be the decision of having the surgery. Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was not a must. It was like the improving my quality of life, you know? I was able to do some stuff, to going to the gym and lift in specific ways. And I was a basketball player and I was doing a lot of Ninja Warrior stuff. So I was
Okay.
trying to avoid this because of the chances of me dislocating again. So it was not a must. So the decision of should I do this or not was interesting for me. But then the dislocations, they started to occur very often. Then I just decided, okay, I want to get over this. I want to trust my shoulder. I want to take, it will take as long as it take, but after this, I will be healthy and then I will be able, hopefully, to get back to whatever I used to do before then.
Yeah. And where did it start? Because you're speaking about dislocations.
Yes.
Do you remember like the first one? Was it a full dislocation or a subluxation?
Yes. So the first one now is 2026, and my first one was on October 2021. So
Yeah.
almost 5 years ago, it was a full dislocation. It was dislocated for about an hour. You know, the process of they taking the X-ray and they see that nothing is broken, then they put it back, then they make the X-ray again. So the whole process took maybe even a little bit more than an hour. So the recovery was very long. It took me maybe 2 months to get back to do some stuff.
Wow.
I was very, it was a hard time. Then since then, it happened 10, 15 times, but none of them was like a full dislocation. It dislocated, it could be 10 seconds, 1 minute, but then it popped back. So I did feel it. And when it was 10 seconds, it was okay. I could get back to normal like hours later. But when it was like a minute, maybe more than that, it took me a few days. But since the first time, it never was a full dislocation that I need to go to the hospital and they need to pop it back.
Must be painful. I never had like a pop out that they had to put in themselves. So like in the hospital, I imagine that must be something painful. Is that correct?
I think the feeling of the relief, it's dislocated. It's in the wrong place. So as painful as it is, they just put it back, and the relief of the muscles that you feel in the same second, it's something else, brother. You're not focusing on any pain in this moment. You're just so anxious about the mechanics of the body. You feel it's in the wrong place, and there's nothing you can do. So
Right.
they have their techniques, so they pop it back, and then you feel such a relief.
Yeah. Did it happen during, so you said you played basketball. Did it happen during basketball, or was there something else that
So
caused the dislocations?
my first time was riding on a scooter, actually, going back from university when I was a student. So there was a bumper on the road and I didn't saw it. So I flipped up and then landed on my shoulder. Then the whole process. Since then, I dislocated it, dismounting from a bar to bar in Ninja, working out in Ninja, or driving to the basket, playing basketball, and then somebody grabbing my hand, so it dislocated again. But again, all those times, it popped back automatically. It didn't require me or any like hospital stuff.
Feels like it is similar to me. Of course, it is different, but for me, I didn't have to do the surgery as well. I was basically able to do most of the things. For me, doing exercises like you at a bar, it was hard, so I avoided that. But so I also decided to take the risk to have a better life long term. So that's also what you did. So you decided it, and then how did you prepare? Because what I have learned for myself is preparation for the surgery is a big thing. And I've spoken about that in my videos, but I'm curious, like, how did you deal with it? But because I feel that you are a prepared person, you are a sports psychologist. So I assume you didn't just do the surgery straight away. There was probably like a process of planning. And can you take me through that mindset or through that thought process?
Yes. So basically, this decision lasted for 5 years, since the first time. I was wondering, should I do this? And then I went to a professional and shoulder like guy, and he told me, look, you can be good just by doing physiotherapy and taking care of your shoulder. But then it happened again. And the chances of the shoulder dislocating again after the first time is just the percentages are just increased every single time. Yeah. So the time passes and I am continuing dislocation, and then the decisions came up. And then, okay, so if I'm already doing surgery, what would be the surgery? So we know out there's this Bancaret surgery, and this is
Hmm.
Latarjet, and the rotator cuff surgery. So what should this case be about? And at the beginning, we talked about the labrum tear, so the Bancaret. And then just before the surgery, like 6 months before, it was a long process. I decided this a year before the surgery itself. So I saw my surgeon a few times, and then maybe 6 months before, he told me, look, you have too much of a bone loss. In this case, the Bancaret will not be enough. And if you really want to be back playing basketball, working out in Ninja, stuff like this, you need it to be very stable. In this case, the better option for you would be Latarjet. And then we just decided when we should do it. Like, when should we schedule it?
Okay. Were you afraid? Like, what was the I would say percentage, but how afraid were you for this surgery?
I was terrified, man. I am like you. I am a very active person. I used to be working out, to using my body, to walking a lot. And then that you're not going to be able to do so. And
Exactly.
in my mind, in my case, I was always comparing the hypothetical recovery to the dislocation recovery. But this is something else, the recovery from a dislocation and from the surgery of the Latarjet, it's two different things. But I will say that the fear factor was insane. It was huge because you never know if you make the right decision. You always
Exactly.
questioning yourself. Did I make the right decision? Is like, what will happen? Is it possible that my case will be even worse after me doing this surgery? So yeah, it was always on my mind. It still is, but you're trying to to talk positive to yourself and trust the process, which is something that I see that you keep saying a lot in your podcast. And this is huge part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I saw some videos of you. Seems to me that you are able to move the hands and the fingers, even already do like some kind of bicep curls. Do you experience any form of numbness or like pain in the fingers? Do
So I
you
saw,
have anything like that?
I saw a lot of your podcasts with many friends in our community that did this surgery, and I heard a lot of like the recovery ways that the body worked out. So in my case, it was maybe one of the easiest or the smoothest that I heard so far. No complaints, of course. I didn't feel any numbness in the fingers from the get-go. I had this one, and I've been asked to be like pressing this, like from day 3 or so, just be pressing so the blood flow and the muscles will be keep moving somehow. I will say though that this numb and like the irritates, I was feeling them on the chest on the first week or so. Then it moved in the second week to the biceps. It was shaking all day, like it's getting back to life because it
Yeah.
wasn't doing a lot. And in the past few days, it actually stopped like a day or two ago. But in the past few days, it was the shoulder itself that was like shaking for some parts of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the same about the shaking and the weird sensations. And I have, of course, I'm not a surgeon. I don't know exactly why it is, but as far as I understood from my physio, the whole dynamic has changed in the arm. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we think like, yeah, they just took a piece of bone and they moved it to the inside of the shoulder, and now we have like this bone block. But there are like tendons and muscles attached to it, as you probably know. And so the whole dynamic changes, and all these weird sensations, sometimes they just pop up. And for me, I was thinking, man, like this looks bad or this feels bad. But what I have learned is like, as you said, the first 2 weeks, it is a milestone, but then week 6 was another milestone. And for me, after week 6, I was able to sleep comfortably. I didn't have like these sensations anymore. So the first 6 weeks are very challenging. And you have passed the 2 weeks mark. I'm interested how you have experienced the first 2 weeks, because it seems like you are saying that it was a challenge for you. And I'm very interested on how you were dealing with it, because I know it can be a struggle.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. I will say that I had to to focus on every day by itself, day by day.
Day
If
by
you
day.
look,
Yeah.
yeah, if you look too much forward to, I was lying down on my couch, and watching your videos on the YouTube, and on the 8 months and 9 months shooting, like throwing a ball, and then I was like,
Yeah.
where this guy is at and where am I right now? What is the gap is huge. I will never be able to get there. It's gonna take forever, This is all the thoughts that pop into
Hmm.
your mind. It's like it's natural, You're you're in a very traumatic situation. You're not moving too much. Like my couch became my best friend. I was spending so many hours on that, and at some point it gets hard, As an active person, I'm used to go out, to walking around, to doing stuff outside, and then you should not. The more you're spending outside, the more dangerous that something, the more risk that something can happen here.
Hmm. Yeah.
So focusing on day by day, every day by itself, and then just looking back and watching the process, because, it might be funny to mention this because it's obvious, but after the first day or two, every single hour, every single day, every single minute that passes, it's going to get better, you know? So you don't see it. You wake up and then you feel all the muscles are tight and it's hard. And it is. I'm not arguing with this. But try to think about 2 days ago. Maybe record yourself, taking a video of yourself doing the physiotherapy, and look in your eyes at this process that you have done. Because looking forward, it's hard. But when you look back, then you can actually see the process and, like, the be joyful, be grateful, and it's not obvious.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, because you said it may seem obvious, but I do see that it is not obvious. People are not really, like, a lot of people are really struggling. Of course, some people are able to deal with it in a better way, but I've met some people that are really having a bad time or a hard time. And so, what about the pain? Because you've sent me some interesting pictures about in the sofa. I assume that is how you sleep.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted, it is intimate pictures, but I wanted to show you, and you're welcome to show this on this podcast, the way that my body felt comfortable sleeping. It was insane. I'm more like you, the type of person that love to sleep on the belly,
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy this, and then it's impossible right now. And then
Hmm.
how you organize everything so you are comfortable, so you can fall asleep, and you will not be able to move too much overnight, so nothing will happen in here. So I found myself in a very ridiculous situations, but just accepting this and being able to fall asleep, even if, at the beginning it's for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then you wake up because it's too painful, because it's not comfy. It's okay.
Hmm.
But these 2 hours, they are crucial for my recovery.
Exactly. It seems like it's, if I'm looking at the picture, and it seems like it's very comfortable. Like you are using like a big pillow. Is that like to support the arm?
Yeah. So my partner, so she's a worker. She goes to work 9 to 5 every day. So I'm basically most of the time alone in here. So she made a long pillow with hair, like a picture of her on it. I don't know if you can see it, but then
Yeah.
it kind of, for me, like, imagine it, I can hug her during the night because we were not able to sleep in next to each other, right?
Hmm.
So she made it, and that was amazing. Amazing. If I can recommend this, if you have time and the willing to go and get this stuff, this is amazing. Very nice.
Yeah, we can talk about it. If I'm allowed, I will put the picture on the screen. If you think you don't feel
No
comfortable,
problem.
I won't. Yeah.
No problem.
What about the pain? Have you been using some strong painkillers? Was that a struggle for you?
Yeah, so you absolutely feel pain. Yeah, we are human beings, and then somebody opened our body, and then cut a piece of bone and then put it in another place. Hopefully, it's going to get one, and then your body's supposed to continue after this. This is painful. So I got painkillers. I don't remember what kind of them, but similar to whatever you were talking about in the previous podcast. So I was talking these painkillers, but after I had them for 2 weeks, and actually I was doing I was using them for maybe 1 week, then after 1 week, I feel that I can handle this. So let's see what's happening. So I was feeling some pain, but I couldn't handle it. So I was okay.
Yeah, for me, the pain in the beginning, I did not really have much pain, but I was using the painkillers to fall asleep. Because for me, sleeping, I think this was one of the toughest challenges for me, the sleeping parts, because I was waking up all the time. But it seems that people are sometimes sleeping very good and sometimes having a hard struggle. Feels like you are like in between, because
Yeah.
as I said, it really looked very comfortable how you were laying in the sofa.
Yeah, it was, but everything is comparable because being in the bed with my partner is way more comfy, and I would prefer this 100 times than being on the couch with a long pillow, But
Yeah,
you do whatever is needed. And I also want to mention something else that I think you also mentioned it in the previous podcast, that you will see the progress every day by day, right? But you might wake up feeling that you went back a few days.
exactly.
And you may go to a physiotherapy session. It will be a good one. And then at nighttime, you will feel like, what is going on? I feel so much pain. I thought I am past this part. What is happening? But the body is like, it's not science. It's not a real
Hmm.
science that you can predict what is going to happen every day. It's different. Everybody is different. You need to focus on your own process. You need to understand whatever is happening to me is for me. And let's put this, for example, my scar. So my scar tissue is tiny than others. Then I guess that the work that has to be done inside was maybe deeper and more precise because of the lack of the place. That if
Hmm.
the scar is longer, then maybe when they open it, they have more place to work inside. So maybe my recovery because of this case is going to be different than yours just because of the technique they used in the surgery itself. Not
Yes.
talking even the body type, the activeness of you.
Yes. So, and as I heard, you were a sporty guy, so that means that you were well prepared for the surgery. Because I speak about prehab, moving the body before the surgery, it's going to
Yes.
affect. Were you aware of that? That.
I was lucky because I was anyways doing sports. And
Hmm.
then I heard so many times, man, this is maybe the most crucial thing. If you can work out and get your body, your muscles, everything more like, resistant, more ready to whatever it comes, the healing process will be easier, softer, smoother. Everything will be better because you were ready for this, because your body actually was using those muscles, and then they can get back to using them again. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes. I'm interested because you have spoken a little bit about your partner here and there. How did you prepare with your partner, and what role is she playing in your recovery
Whew. I don't know how I would pass this process, this healing process without her, doing it by yourself, it's so hard. Going to sleep, even placing all these pillows and make it comfortable, she was like in charge of this. Going to shower, man, sometimes going to the
Yeah,
bathroom. You are not able to do stuff by yourself. You need help.
exactly.
I mean, you probably can do this, but it's gonna be way, way harder to
Hmm.
execute everything, especially in the first 2 weeks. So she was so helpful. I was using her all the time whenever I could, And I think something else that maybe from the mental side it was important, that we were having like we were setting goals between us, talking some expectations that I was taking her with me to this journey so she can be more involved, she can understand what is happening, and then she can be like she will have more knowledge, she will be more interested, then she can be more helpful for me because she knows more.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, I remember, and I'm a little amazed that you are wearing a t-shirt, because I was not able to put on a t-shirt like that for the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. I
Wow.
also remember like taking a shower and having to dry my back. That was a huge struggle.
It
And
is.
another one, yeah, and another one that I was not prepared for was like tying my shoes, the laces of my shoes.
Yes.
I
So
couldn't do it. I couldn't
Yeah,
do it.
I cannot do it now. I'm 3 weeks post the surgery and I cannot do this. Hopefully it's summertime in here and I don't have to. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's like no can do right now. I will say though that look at these differences between us, because you say in the 3 weeks day, I couldn't put my shirt on, but you also mentioned in the past that 2 weeks post surgery, you were able to lift your hand all the way up. Is this correct?
Yeah, it was passively, of course. So I was supporting my arm with my other arm.
Yes. But for example, I cannot lift this hand right now. You know,
Hmm.
the only guy that doing this is my physiotherapist. And like he's asking me and like, telling me, do not move this, not passively, not actively. Don't ask anyone to move this. And this is a huge difference, because the longer you wait for this is the longer the process will take later on.
Hmm. I'm interested. What is the protocol that they have given to you in terms of wearing the sling and movements? I'm
Yeah.
interested.
So it was splitted in the first 3 weeks and from week 4 and on. And now I'm getting in this phase, right? So there were some angles that the physiotherapy has to lift my hand passively to make like the range of motion going on. And on my edge, it was basically doing whatever I send you. You can upload it in here, but using like the small ball and moving your like the hands maybe. And in the more after 2 weeks, I was using this one. So I was putting this against the wall and my hand bent like this, holding the ball against the wall. And then I was trying to push it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So not really moving, but like isometric movements, just
Hmm.
trying to active a little bit the muscles. But I was starting doing this in the past like 2, 3 days. But until then, I was not doing much.
Are you still in pain right now, or on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 is very painful. How pain? How are
Yeah.
you experiencing pain right now?
Yeah, I would say 1. Yeah, no pain at all. I noticed on day 16 maybe that I were not feeling any pain anymore. So in the first few days, you wake up and all the muscles in the back are tight, and you
Hmm.
feel the pain in the scar tissue, and you feel the pain inside because the recovery is just starting, right? But
Hmm.
day 16, no pain, nothing.
That's good.
It is amazing. No complaints.
Yeah, because I've in the beginning of my channel, I did a survey. So I sent in a Google form to lots of letter J patients. And I saw that after week 2, 95% of people were experiencing less than 5 out of 10 pain. So that is something good. But sometimes I also hear people saying after 6 weeks that they are still in excruciating pain. And then my question that I have to those people is like, have you spoken to your surgeon about that? Because for me, this is very abnormal that you are still in so much pain 6 weeks post surgery. And of course, I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But if somebody is saying that to me, I'm a little worried for them because I
Mm-hmm.
don't think this is normal.
Yeah, it might be not normal. We both are not doctors, but I I have a good feeling that the physiotherapy process, it plays a huge part in this game, because
Hmm.
if you're not moving the hand 6 weeks, so everything gets more tight. The
Exactly.
blood
Yeah.
flow is weak in there. The muscles are not working. So whenever you're starting the physiotherapy, then you start to feeling. I once I told my physiotherapy on the last time I saw her, I was like, hey, I feel no pain. This is amazing. And she told me, of course you don't feel pain because you're not moving the hand. The second you will
Hmm.
start moving the hand and this mechanism will start to work again, then you will feel here and then again these painful points. And you will pass this phase again, but it will come. So you are lucky that the first 2 weeks were painful, and since then you don't feel the pain. But if if I was not moving at all my hand for the first 2 weeks, maybe I couldn't be able to not feel pain and be feeling good right now.
You so your 6 weeks has been split in two, so 3 weeks and 3 weeks. Does that mean that you
Yes.
may start with external rotation after week 6? Is that correct?
So the protocol does not say anything about moving the hand external and internal rotation, which is weird. The next time I'll see my surgeon, I will ask him. So I don't know yet. I don't know, but I will do whatever they tell me because I have fully trust in them. Maybe this is another thing that we should discuss about, or actually at least mention it, the feeling that you have with your surgeon and your physiotherapist. This is so important. This is crucial. You have to feel so confident with them. Like you can trust them. They know what they're doing. Because the second this relationship is not healthy, you don't trust them, it will not go well. I felt it because my first physiotherapist that I met, he was a great guy. Great guy. Something didn't work between us. And I knew that going into this process with him will make this longer, harder, more painfuler. And I didn't want it to be like that. So I asked for anybody else. Then I saw another lady that she was a first therapist. She has a lot of experience. Then the first time it was a good click. And I feel this is so important because you need to, to feel confident in this process.
Yeah, I fully agree on that one. And for me personally, this has been a very good process. I have a very good connection with my physiotherapist. Of course, surgeons, they are hard to reach at times because they are busy and you have to go through the assistant and all of that. But yeah, I just came back from my physiotherapist. I did another session with him and I just have, like you say, like this great chemistry going on. It is just, for me, it is like a friend because you are setting yourself up for a process of 6 months or 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So I saw him 2 to 3 times in a week. So you will build a connection with that person. And so I do fully agree on what you were saying about that. This is definitely important to mention. And this is also different in different countries because it isn't always easy to find a physiotherapist.
Yes. I
Here
heard
in Belgium it is.
One of the guys that you were talking to, he had to pay for every session that he was going to, right?
Yes.
This is insane. This is insane. In my country, I didn't pay for the surgery. I did not pay for the physiotherapy. I'm not paying for the physiotherapy right now. I guess it's all covered, right? But the understanding of in other countries, you have to pay specifically plenty of money for this process. It's make decision even harder,
Yes. And also, like, for example, in India, because a big chunk of my audience is from India, it seems to me that, well, first of all, and correct me if I'm wrong to the people who are listening from India, but they have to pay for their surgery, or at least a big amount of money, but then they have to find a physio themselves and pay them out of their own pocket. And
wow.
Yeah, I cannot fully understand that because in some countries, and this is not in India, but in some countries, it costs like $200 to $250 for 1 hour session of physiotherapy. And then sometimes in Belgium, you are complaining about taxes, for example, but I understood that the whole healthcare system, definitely related to the surgery, this is definitely a positive aspect of Belgium and something to be grateful for. I think if I hear you speak, it's the same in Israel. But sometimes me as a Belgian, we oversee the good things and we are just focused on the bad things, like the high taxes. But now I understand that this whole surgery and months of physiotherapy, it is expensive and most of the cost has been covered. So compared to other countries, yeah, I can say that I have won the lottery, quote unquote, that I'm very lucky to live in Belgium.
Yes, same here. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I am interested because you spoke to me about the identity thing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to me about what it means, like the identity part, and how it is or has affected you, and also comparing with what you know from all your clients as a sports psychologist?
Yes, I will be careful when I'm saying this because when we talk about all the psychology stuff, it always depends. It depends who you are. It depends what is the sport type, how deep are you in this sport, how often you do this, how intense you do this. It depends in so many variables, right? But most of the time when young athletes, young people are very into sports, it's not just playing a sport, it becomes like they become the sport. This is part of them. Let's say I play basketball, so I don't just play basketball. I am a basketball player. This is who I am. And then let's say you are a gym guy, right? You're really into going to the gym. This is part of me, my identity. I start my day every single day. I'm going for an hour and a half to the gym. Let's say this is the case.
Mhm.
And now you have to get through this surgery or any surgery, that then you will be limited, right? You will not be able to do the same stuff that you did. And then now what? Who
Mhm.
I am right now. So a month ago, I was a basketball player. Something happened, and now I cannot play basketball. So who am I?
Yeah. It 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 speaks to my past. I have no idea if you heard about my past, but so I was a soccer player, and that was my whole identity, because also people knew me as Dylan the soccer player, right? And long story short, I ended up playing soccer, and I was lost because, like you said, that part of me, I was lost, and for me, I ended up to becoming a drug dealer, because for me, I was searching for identity, and I was searching for like people who gave me some kind of
Mhm.
validation.
Mhm.
And this was subconsciously. I was not aware of that at that time, but I ended up in the wrong space in the drug industry. And if I look back, I just understood that I lost my identity. I had like a crisis, and I
Exactly.
just
This is
was
how we call this identity crisis. So then you
yeah.
feel lost. The same thing that you're mentioning here right now, I can relate to this because this is exactly what the research says. You feel the crisis. You
Mhm.
are not sure who you are right now, and it sounds very deep, but it happens to most of us some of the time. When you get fired from your job that you were doing in the past 2 years, then what am I doing right now? You are in a relationship and you decided to get separated. Now what? A lot of
Mhm.
things can happen in your life, not just the surgery, right? That impact your identity. So you started to ask yourself, like, what am I good in? What can I do right now? What should I do? Questioning yourself and self-doubt, it enters and it goes deeper and deeper. And in our case, you are on the couch most of the day. You're not doing anything. You eat some of the time, you read, you watch TV, you play in your phone, but most of the time the thoughts are entering, and our
Mhm.
brain, it has mainly one job: to keep you safe. And then whenever this case is on, your brain is lifting up some negative thoughts. Was this the right decision? Maybe I can re-injure again, and then what? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this surgery. We call this, some of them, the catastrophic thinking.
Right.
So it's you start to think negatively, very negatively, and this is the way of the brain. It sounds maybe stupid, but this is the way of the brain to keep us safe, to protect us. It's trying to protect you from everything that happened, to get you ready. So maybe if you will go out and you risking re-injury, so your brain telling you, hey, do not do anything, stay in your bed, do not do any sports. I'm trying to make it like more understandable. But then in this case, it keeps you safe.
Hmm. I think it's very valuable if you understand that that is just a mechanism of the brain that is trying to keep you safe. Because sometimes people, I assume also for myself, that we are like in this battle. We are like fighting against something. But if you reframe it with the truth, as you say, like it is just your brain protecting yourself or trying to protect yourself, I
Mhm.
think this little shift in perspective is already going to help you to better deal with the situation.
Yes, look, you are injured, right? You're healing. Your body is in a need to keep you safe right now. You shouldn't be taking any risks. And our brain is so complex and amazing, but at the same time, it does not understand, is it reality? Is it just my thoughts? What is going on? It's not like processing most of the stuff. It's just keeping you safe in a lot of ways. So maybe you can make your own interventions and keep talking to yourself. Maybe stopping and practicing every day some conscious breathing.
Mhm.
Maybe watching some our friend here podcast and understanding how the process will look like. Then you have more information. But control the controllable and be focusing on whatever you can do to make it better. Because the negative thoughts, they will come. And the self-doubt and the questioning, it will come. It will come in your relationship, in your day job, when you work out, it will come anytime. the only question that's what differentiate between, I would say, regular people and the unique, the 1% that succeed in life, is the how long you stay in this mindset. Like how long it take you to bounce back. So you feel this low. It's okay. You're a human being. How long you staying in this low mindset right now? Is it minutes, seconds, days, weeks, years? Then it become problem, you know?
Yeah, I personally think you as a sports psychologist, I'm curious because you have been sharing lots of valuable things, but it is interesting because this is your field, right? This is what you do. You are helping people support them mentally. So how challenging has this been for you until now? We've spoken about it, but is this the way you are dealing with yourself? These thoughts, they come to you as well, I assume. It comes to everybody. But
Absolutely.
you are just able to click out of it when you become aware of it. Or like, is that what you're saying? Like pretty
Yeah,
fast.
I would say that I have the same negative thoughts that everybody else have. I would say maybe the difference between me and what I'm trying to think and make myself work on myself is to how long I'm staying in those thoughts. You know, so I feel better right now. I feel pretty shitty. I don't want to do this. I feel that it was a mistake right now. Okay, there is so many things you can do to make yourself feel better right now. And you feeling better right now actually will help your body recover faster, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Two questions that
Yeah.
follow each other. Are you working right now as a sports psychologist? And then
Yes.
sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still working.
No. Yeah. So let's focus on the first one.
Sorry.
So
Yeah. Sorry.
I am working offline, you know, it's quite hard to going out. I cannot, in Israel, the law says as long as you have the sling on, you're not allowed to drive. So for the first 6 weeks, I am not allowed to be driving. I use sometimes buses. I have my partner driving me, which is also huge deal, you know, the time saving in this case. So most of the time I do it like this, but occasionally I also go out and do my stuff outside. Also, this is
Okay.
off season right now. So there's not a lot of work outside, right?
But you are self-employed or do you work for a company?
I am self-employed and I cooperate with companies and associations.
So interesting. Yeah, I thought about this like mental coaching. I assume you have like a master's degree or something like that. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. So my first degree was in neuroscience and psychology, and my
Wow.
master's was in the sports psychology. I am a sports psychologist, and yeah. I love my job. I think, you know, they say that on elite level in sports, it's 90% mental, because everybody, if they work hard enough, everybody will be able to jump, to run, to score, to do whatever is needed. The question is, how quick can you make a good decision? How long can you stay in this high performance level? You know, because on a workout, on a performance routine, there's highs and lows. You cannot stay all the time in here, right? You have to, like, it happens. We're human beings. But how quick you bounce back? How quick you get back to your stuff? This is the real question. And this is what we're working on to make, you know, you will make mistakes in life everywhere, anytime. Question is, how hard will be the recovery and like the bouncing back?
Yeah. By the way, I have said this before, but you look very passionate when you speak about your job. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
I think if you can be like that, speaking about your job, you have again won the lottery, because we have to work a lot in our life, and I think if you can get into a position where you really love your job, I think that's a huge win.
Agreed.
I was preparing myself in a sense that, you know, I was going to study the Bible. I had some courses going on. I wanted to launch this YouTube channel. Did you decide to study anything, or like how did you decide to fill up all the time that you would have? Did you choose to do productive things as well, or?
Yeah. So I will mention here something from the sports psychology. And one technique that, you know, everybody uses in day-to-day life is goal setting. If you put some goals for your future, it doesn't have to be for the next year or so. It can be for the next month, the next week, or for tomorrow. So
Mhm.
if you're putting yourself goals, then the outcome will probably be better and like higher results. So I was putting myself some goals. Some of them, it comes from the psychology when we use this doing mode and being mode. When
Mhm.
I'm on a doing mode, it's always like keep going, getting results, achievements, and being mode is just be, accept what's happening, enjoy life. You don't see outcome from sometimes for what's happening, but you enjoy it. So, let's say, I don't know, eating a good salad, which I don't really like, it's healthy. You will enjoy it, maybe, but you know that it helps your body, right? But eating a box of chocolate, for example, you know it's not good for your body. You know it doesn't
Mhm.
help. But right now, you want to consume this because maybe you feel bad, and maybe eating some chocolate, some sugar will help your mechanism feel better for the next hour or so. So sometimes we do stuff for our doing mode to get going, to do stuff, achievements, and sometimes from the being mode when we just want to be present and accept whatever is happening.
Yeah. I want to zoom in a little bit about the being and doing parts because I
Hmm.
think for me personally, and you will understand, but I'm just thinking on how to say it. But for me, if I don't do, if I am not doing, I think I am less valuable. Does that make sense? Like sometimes I think I am what I'm doing. But in
Yes.
contrary, but now of course I have grown into this, and for me it is at least even important to also just do the being part, because if I constantly doing and chasing goals, it feels that I'm not really find fulfillment because there is always something else to do, right? And can you speak about this a little bit? How do you
Yes.
see this?
Yes. In everything in life, the balance is the key. You know,
Mm-hmm.
doing mode is important. You want to get the best out of you in life. You want to succeed. You want to get your full potential out there, right? So you have to do. If you will sit on the couch all day long, nothing will happen by itself. So doing
Mm-hmm.
mode is important. You have to do stuff in order to get better, to get more success and whatever you need. But being only on a doing mode, I will say it's maybe impossible, you know because we need this some stuff in life, the good hug, the watching the movie, playing on the piano, and whatsapping to a friend on the phone, stuff that maybe not taking us to anywhere but makes us to feel good right now. I enjoy what's happening, us probably talking right now, this is a doing mode, right? Because we're doing something good. People will maybe use this, we are sharing information right now, this is a doing mode. I will say though, that the way I feel right now, I'm also in some parts in a being mode. It's not separated like differently. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can combine together because I am enjoying what's happening. I am having fun right now. I'm not suffering, and I don't know what I will get from this, if I will get anything, but I think this is important. I think this helps me to feel good, to feel my day also. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would add to that for me personally, and this is going to be different for everybody, but for me, this is being. Of course, we are doing, but this is being because I'm an introvert. I would say in the middle between introvert and extrovert. But for me, communication, it fills me up. Like it gives me this sense of fulfillment. Like
Yes.
I was a gardener. I had my own gardening business, and I was doing all the time. I was really like in that hustle grind mentality, but I was alone. I was most of the time alone. And for me, I understood that I like to meet people. I like to be with people. I like to communicate. And so for me, this podcast, for example, is definitely this conversation as well is just being. It fills me up. And I don't always have to get something out of it, like if you know what I mean. Although I believe that right now I'm getting things out of this, of course. But yeah, but I think this is something important for everybody, but definitely the younger generation, because I was a guy who was always trying to achieve something, but because I was always trying to achieve and I was not having that balance, I would have like a burnout because I
Exactly.
didn't. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Look, brother, you're using terms from the sports psychology. This is the second or third time you're using this, which is amazing because the sports psychology is not like a new Bible that anybody has to read to understand what it is. it is familiar to everybody. You doing then you put more conscious in the situation, and then you understand after a long day of doing that I was going to job, to my work, to do whatever is needed to provide to my home. Maybe just sitting, lying back and watching a movie with my wife for the next 2 hours, just doing nothing. This is the best thing right now because we need this balance. The burnout, this is the right term in here. So you will not be focusing on the being part, then you will burn out. Our brain, we talked about the brain, is most of the time, the brain itself, it will be in the doing mode. How can I get better? What can I get right now? How can I proceed? How can I process? Always on, and we need to put some inputs of a being, of a doing. Sorry, I totally messed it up. Most of the time, our brain will be focusing on doing mode. And sometimes we need to put some inputs of the being, of just enjoy, just feeling happiness, fun. Sometimes we're not focusing on this.
I love it. And I think this is very important for everybody. But in my case, in my opinion, definitely for the younger generation, because I think it is sometimes really pushed in the media and on social media, like this being focused on money and making goals and achieving. And so being very important. And definitely for me, this has been a huge lesson.
A thought that we have to compare the being mode and the doing mode. So if I am in a doing mode and it passed 4 weeks and I'm still having pain, right? So my question will be like, it's been 4 weeks. How am I still feeling the pain? I should be processing, right? Because our brain is in a doing mode. I want to get better. But if I would put the input of the being, so it is 4 weeks and I was expecting it to be better, but it is what it is. And this is my body. And this is the process right now. Like, this is the situation. I know I wish it has to be way better and me feeling good and maybe going and climbing right now. But this is not the case. So it is what it is. We can suck it up and then continue life and understand that this is part of the process.
Yeah, I think this is powerful self-talk. And this was going to be my next question as well. And I'm going to ask it anyway, because maybe you can zoom in a little bit on that. By the way, I have seen that we are crossing your scheduled time. Do you have to leave?
I have about 10 to 15, like 2:15 my time, I will have to leave.
So I will ask you one more question and then I will ask you one more thing. So the question would be, imagine that I'm a young guy. I went through the Latarjet surgery. I'm struggling mentally, definitely with the talking to myself. Like, what would be the advice that you would give as a human being, but also as a sports psychologist? Like, how can I handle this coming period with the recovery?
Yeah. So you talked a lot about the pre-hub and post, right? So in all the do whatever you can do. Read more, consume more knowledge, be knowledgeable of what is going on you. Also understand that your process is your own process, right? You should not be comparing it to anybody. So I did put some stuff in here next to me. I will show them that I think me preparing this really helped for my recovery, right? So I did show this ball and the smaller one, but also this friend became my bestie. This is a massage gun. So in the first few days, I was waking up and all of this was tight, like insanely tight, because of the sling that you use. It lays on your back and on the muscles. So it's basically, I couldn't go back to sleep because of this. So I was using this for hours every day. It was painful, but also satisfying. And then when I went back to my physiotherapist, she was trying to check my back and she was like, "Ooh, it's all very loose. I love it. How come?" And then I told her I'm using this. She said, "This is insane. This is a great idea." So this is one. Also, you become very, very limited. So this friend, when you feel that you need to get to some places in your body, amazing. And also for me, the eye mask was crucial. So this was some example that I brought, but try to think. I know that sleeping on the sunlight or daylight or whatever it is, it makes harder for me. So I was preparing this and try to come up with ideas. What can I do? Maybe watch your videos read on the internet, ask ChatGPT, how can I get ready? Maybe these long pillows or this moving couch, right? If you have the access to, maybe ask about or find a good physiotherapist before it happens. But all this preparation aside, next to this, we can focus on some mental skills, right? So we talked about this conscious breathing. I feel that,
Yes.
I feel that today is hard because of anything. Let's just take 5 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and let's just focus on the breathing. I have some, everybody has their own techniques. So whatever is working for them, I can send you one or two so you can show on your channel. But this is amazing. Research shows that this can lower your stress level and anxiety, and you will probably feel this during this process because it's hard. So if I have a skill in my pocket that I can pop it out and use it whenever I feel that I need to, that will be amazing. Also, we talked about the self-talk, right? The positive self-talk. You will talk about yourself negatively. We talked about this, but maybe if I already said some few sentences, it might sound silly, but if I wrote down few sentences, positive sentences that I can imagine somebody is telling me through this process that makes me feel better, and then I can read it to myself. I can tell this to myself like intentionally several times a day. If I'm setting some goals for this process, let's set goals for every day and not just relying on this process. My goals were reading a book. I do not like reading a book. I'm hyperactive person. I don't like this, but sitting on the couch for 30 minutes every day, reading a book, doing mode, being mode, I don't know. You can find a book that will be very helpful for you, right? In your professional, whatever it is. And you can also just enjoy reading or find something interesting. But putting in your schedule some stuff that you have to wait for them, like you're expecting them. So the days are passing and then it became a week. It became 2 weeks. In my case, it already became 3 weeks, which is amazing. It is hard though, I'm smiling and I'm talking with enthusiasm, but it is hard. In the first 2 weeks, in the first 3 weeks, it was insanely hard not being able to use my body, but this is a process. And hopefully a year from now, I will not remember, this is my surgeon told me, I will not remember what hand I was doing the surgery on. This is amazing. This is what I'm wishing for. So the process will take 6 months, 1 year, suck it up and understand that this is it.
Amen. I have nothing to add to that. Thank you for
Easier
sharing.
said than done also, right?
What did you say?
Easier said than done, though.
Yes, but it is a fact. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. It is going to be like that. And if you make the choice, then you have to be aware of your choice and know that there is a path, a process coming.
And also we talked about it, right? You will get setbacks. You will not stay always on the court. But the point is not if you're getting off. You will get off. The question is how quick will you get back? How quick will you bounce back?
Yes. Yeah, I love this. This is very valuable. Thank you so much for that. Okay, last thing that I'm going to ask you, maybe you have nothing to add, but I just want to give you some space to just say whatever you want. If there's still something in your mind, in your heart that you want to share with the audience, I want to give you a minute to do that. I'm going to listen. So if you want, please go ahead.
Yes, we talked about some very important stuff, and I want also to mention a few marks. So every surgery is different, right? So every process, healing process, recovery process, it will be different. We are human beings and we always comparing to each other. My salary is good comparing to the other population. My life is good comparing, it's unavoidable. But we have to try to keep focusing on what is going on in our case. This is my life. This is my shoulder. The surgery itself, it was using these different techniques. It's a different surgeon. It's different body. It's different muscles. The size of the bone graft that they took is different. Everything is different. So we shouldn't be expecting same process, but we do. and we want it to be the fastest and the easiest. And when it's not, this catastrophic thinking coming on. Whoa, I made a mistake. Whoa, why did I do this, bruh? It was for improving my life. But then it's, what if I will break this bone? Then what? So it will come. It's not easy. Life, it's not easy. But we made this decision and we have to stick behind this. And I love you all and I understand what you're feeling. I feel also this painful and anxiety and stress, but we need to, see the light in the end of the tunnel. So it will come at some point. You will see the sun.
Beautiful, brother. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, I'm going to end here. In all honesty, I could go on for another hour, I guess, but you have to go and I have to go too. Maybe we can do that later on. We'll see. But I want to thank you and want to express my gratefulness to you for your time, your energy, and your presence. I wish you a great recovery. And once again, maybe in a few months, if you want to hop on for an update about your surgery, you're more than welcome. And I wish you all the best with you and your wife. I'm going to end the podcast here, guys. You can find all information in the video description as well if you want to join the WhatsApp community, which I highly recommend. We have more than 80 members right now. Thanks for listening, guys. I see you next time. All the best in your healing. God bless.